Hello, everyone. We are here with ZZ Ward, who has a lot going on. We've got a new album, a new tour. You're on the Cars 3 soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's good to be busy, I guess, right?
Yes, I like to be busy.
It feels good. Let's start with the big announcement. Obviously, you've got a new record on the way. The last one came back in 2012. How soon after that drop did you really start working on this and thinking about another collection?
A while. I think we toured off until the casket drops for maybe off and on 2 to 3 years. And then I turned around to make a record. I made a record, and then I didn't put it out.
Okay.
I started to go on the road with it, and I felt like there was something missing for me.
Right.
I felt like I hadn't gone deep enough into what I wanted to do with my music. Wow. So I turned around and then made an entirely new record.
Right.
So it just depends how you look at it. So a lot of time.
How do you know, like, when you're touring that and something's feeling off, like, how do you sort of identify that feeling? Like, this isn't the record I should be putting out?
Well, it was just getting out there and just feeling like I just wanted to go deeper into the blues. I wanted to go deeper into hip hop, deeper into the music that got me interested in being an artist in the first place. Right. You know, I wanted to be very sincere in what I was talking about. I wanted to just really own who I am.
Right.
And I feel like I did that on the new
Awesome.
record.
That feels good. It feels good to sort of be putting this one out and like presenting it that way.
Yeah.
It is called The Storm. It arrives on June 30th. What can you tell me? I know there's a song also called The Storm, but what can you tell me about why that makes sense for like the branding of the entire project?
Yeah. So I drew inspiration for this record from a lot of my past relationships, a lot of heartbreaks and a lot of bad relationships that I just kind of had swept under the rug when they ended, and I didn't really want to face them. So this was kind of cleaning out my closet in a way and facing my demons. The Storm for me, I had to call this body of work The Storm because I figured out who I was through how I weathered that storm and coming out the other side stronger. So.
What is it like to revisit those past relationships, like from a distance in a way, like to like look back and see about the way you used to react? Are you studying old journals or just sort of meditating on it?
I think once I started to think about stuff, it really like brought it all up for me.
It was really under the carpet.
Yeah, apparently those people really pissed me off because I can still channel that very easily. So there were just so many moments that I could kind of, it's just when you're first figuring out, you know, how to have a relationship and letting people treat you in a way that you probably shouldn't be letting people treat you, and being able to talk about that, I think, is important.
Right.
Yeah.
Till the Casket Drops got, I mean, literally rave reviews. People are writing about you being the heir to Etta James. People are mentioning Aretha Franklin. Is there a pressure that comes with that, then finding like a follow-up piece of work and what to like present next?
Yeah, there's definitely a pressure, but I think when I really got into making The Storm, I just kind of fell in love with the process. You know, I do love writing songs. I love making music, and nothing would ever change that outside of myself. So once I'm like involved in that, and once I've got my hands on that project, it's like everything else goes away, and I'm just like focused.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you write constantly, or do you need to set like time alone, or like how organized is sort of this process?
I would say I definitely write constantly if I have the time. Like I think writing for me is time doesn't exist when I write, which is really interesting. Like I'll be like writing for like 8 hours and I won't even stop to eat, or I'll be like, oh, I need to eat. Oh, I want to finish this line or whatever it is, because I get so into it. But sometimes when I'm on the road, when I'm on tour, you give so much to people, and I feel a responsibility to give to people that come to watch the shows, like to give, like leave everything on the stage. So sometimes after that, when I go back to the tour bus, then I don't necessarily feel like, oh, I have so much to say. I've just been singing my heart out every night. So that can be kind of tricky to find that inspiration on the road.
What do you do to recharge? Like you said, I mean, it is draining. It's every night. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of sweat and dancing and all these things. Like, where do you go to kind of plug back in?
It's about knowing, like, now I've done it long enough too. I know like how many days I can grind really hard before I'll just fall over. So it's just knowing your limits and also like having things be comfortable within what you're doing.
Right.
It's, it's my job to know what's too much because
Right.
I can't give a performance that's, not what people deserve when they come to watch me. So I'm the one that has to be like, okay, well, I need to chill for a minute so that I can be my best for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So The Deep has Joey Perp on it. Your last album had Freddie Gibbs and Kendrick Lamar. You've got a song out with Gary Clark Jr. Is it safe to say that you enjoy collaboration? Like there's something you get there?
Yeah, I think collaborating with other artists is a really special thing to do. I have a lot of collaborations on the new record, and all of them are very, very exciting for me because so many people on the record that I worked with are people that I'm a fan of,
Right.
and Gary Clark being one of them. I mean, to have him on a song with me is really exciting. I've known him for a long time, and I respect his talent so much. I love what he does with the blues, and that's really important to me. So it's really fun to see those things come together.
Can you preview any of those collaborations? Who was your big get where you're like, oh, they said yes, thank you?
Well, I know I was just talking about it, but working with Gary is definitely really, really exciting. So.
Let's talk about that. So that song, The Ride, is on Cars 3 soundtrack. What did you guys pitch the movie? Did the movie come to you? How did you guys even start this conversation?
They actually were interested in me writing a song for the movie because they liked my style, they liked my music. And so it was like trying to find that balance of like giving them something that, made you feel empowered, that's something that would be me, but also something that the cars can talk to, like it
A
was
unique
like,
challenge.
yeah. So, but they were definitely very supportive of like, they wanted it to be something that would be, a good representation of who I am too. So that's really awesome. Made me feel really free to kind of come up with something. So yeah, we wrote the song. I wrote it with Evan Bogart.
Cool.
And then they wanted it. So I was so excited. And it's been really amazing. Like we premiered it on Dancing with the Stars. And I was very like in the moment when we were there performing it, but like later on when I was watching it on TV, I was like, this is so awesome.
So let's talk about, there's a clip on her Instagram that you guys have to go watch because it has all the choreography going on. Was it distracting to have all of that going around? It's very different than what your fans do, I think, every night in front of you.
If they were like dancing like that, that would be awesome.
Everybody get organized.
I think when you've performed as much as I have, you don't let anything distract you because plus I'm playing like, dirty dive bars sometimes and people are drinking and getting crazy. So you can't really like be distracted by that. I'm like, try me at this point.
To go back just to the theme of collaboration a little bit, I guess I wonder, all of those people are excellent at what they do, but also something about the partnership has to work. What are you looking for in a partner when you're like seeking out a duet or a feature?
Well, I'm thinking about what someone's strengths are for the most part, like, whether it's a singer or a rapper, like having Joey on The Deep, it's like, I love the way that Joey raps. I'm a fan of his. So I know he's going to bring that passion to the song. And that's what that song is, a very passionate, very raw, emotional song. So I knew that he could bring that energy to that song. Again, like with Kendrick Lamar, I was a huge fan of Kendrick's before he blew up. So I wanted him on the record. So I knew he was going to kill it. I was a big Freddie Gibbs fan. So a lot of these people, I'm just a fan of them, and then I just, I use it to my advantage to be able to work with them.
What's the studio? I mean, how do you guys find time even at that point? Like, when did you and Gary Clark set aside time to write something?
Well, most of it is usually like you don't end up being in the studio with each other. Yeah, because, he's over in Africa or he's somewhere else, and I'm over here, and it's like that's the power of being able to just send things to each other, though, and. Yeah, so it always works out, yeah.
Who remains on the dream list of collaborators, like for down the line, that you just kind of are still working on?
Well, there's always going to be new people that I'll definitely want to work with, but I've gotten to do so many cool things. I mean, I've, opened for Eric Clapton, which was amazing, and I've, I got to play with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, which was so
a lot
awesome.
of ZZs.
Yeah. So I'm always ready for the next adventure, but.
What has been, I mean, this has been sort of a long gestating project, but what has been the biggest pinch me moment since your debut came out where you realize, oh, this career has legs on it. I'm getting to do things I never thought I'd get to do?
So many moments. I think the tattoos are really, really crazy for me when people tattoo the lyrics
Yeah.
onto their bodies permanently because I'm just like, I just like wrote this song in my apartment
Right.
about this guy that like I was pissed at that I had to like overcome a situation, and then to know that I went through that and that it was hard, but that affected somebody else and helped them get through something. Like that's the stuff that's the real stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of like excitement and exposure and things like that, but that connection with people, like that's more important to me than anything.
What do you think the biggest pinch me moment has been for your family where they realized, oh, she's taken off, she's going to be a star?
I mean, the TV stuff is always really. My grandma gets so excited when I'm on TV. Like she loves it. Like I was so excited to be on Dancing with the Stars because I know she like also loves that show.
Right.
So
She's voting.
oh yeah, she's so excited. But she keeps it real with me. Like she'll be like, "You did not sing that right," or she'll be like, "That color you wore was no good." Like, oh yeah, she's straight up. Like we're very honest in my family.
Keep her around. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Something that I love that you do, you're doing it right now. Obviously, you have a fedora hat on. And it's not just a fashion statement. A lot of it has to do with the blues and what you're carrying on. Can you maybe just tell people about that transition?
Yeah,
or tradition?
absolutely. So when I was like on 8 or something, like I was listening to the blues. I was listening to Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and Big Mama Thornton, and I wanted to be a singer. So when I would go up on stage, I would get really nervous, and I started putting on the hat because I wanted to be like the blues artists that I grew up listening to, and that it would give me some kind of, confidence in a way, and it did. And so I started wearing a fedora when I was really young, and now I'm still hiding under it. So, and I wouldn't feel the same if I didn't wear it. So,
How many fedoras do you have at this point?
I actually gave away a lot of them recently, but I had like 60 of them.
Okay.
But I had to like downsize.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you grew up in Oregon, you're born in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. I'm curious what was that starting block of getting into the blues? It's not necessarily embedded in either of those cultures.
Of course. My parents, my dad primarily. When we moved to Oregon, he was always into music, but he got really deep into the blues, and he just started getting really obsessed with all these artists that I was talking about. And so it would basically always be playing around the house, like, Thanksgiving dinner, and be like Howlin' Wolf was on in the background, So I just got really into it and started singing in his blues band when I was like 11 or
So he's
something
also a
like
playing
that.
musician.
He sings and he plays harmonica, and I mean, I just was so curious. I think when I was that age, like he'd be playing harmonica, and I was like, oh, I want to play that.
Right.
Yeah, my grandmother plays harmonica too.
Oh,
so
cool.
yeah, it was always in the family, I guess.
Maybe for anybody who doesn't listen to that much blues music, is there like a good starting point? Who do you think is sort of a great jumping off point for any of those people?
Robert Johnson.
That's the place to start.
Yeah.
It's a good map. We mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you are taking the Storm on the road. The tour kicks off May 31st in Chicago. What are you sort of most looking forward to there? Is touring your favorite part of the process? Is it like lower on the totem pole?
Well, I can't say it's lower on the totem pole because, it's my life, so I should love every minute of it. It's a different part of it, I think I can't say that making an album is a better experience than being on tour. I think that being on tour is somewhat like immediate gratification because like you play and you sing and you have this interaction with your fan and you feel like this kind of euphoric sense of like this high, and when you're in working on an album, you don't get that because you write a song but you don't know that it's necessarily good or not. Right. You have to wait months or years before you figure that out. So, I think that touring is like a quick fix, but it is important to me to get out there and be able to like really meet my fans and see them. So.
Is there ever a time where once you play a song live, you realize you wish maybe a different arrangement, maybe it works in a different way than you didn't anticipate, something like that?
No. Because and anybody that works with me knows why I'm saying no, because I'm like very into the details of like everything. I really am, because I think it's like I respect those people that are buying my record. I want to give them the best experience I can possibly give them. So I listen to every mix. I'm in the studio at every point. You know what I mean? If there's something that's like a little too loud, I'm bringing it down. I'm very, very nitpicky. So
That's good.
by the time I'm playing it out, like
It's tried and true.
I have to love it,
Right.
because then I hope that they love it, but I have to love it first. So
For the Love and War tour, you had a really cool aesthetic of red, white, and black. I'm curious, is that something you're going to adopt for this new tour, or where your commitment to even like figuring out a look for every tour came from?
well, I think maybe I was in a little bit different frame of mind when I was doing that. Right now, I can just speak of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I'm really focusing on what these songs are about more than anything, and just kind of being who I am. So I'm not really thinking about the colors of the show.
Right.
But I did think about these colors, and I think they're kind of dark and moody. So that's where I'm at right now.
In a dark and moody place. I like
Yeah.
it. Heading into spring.
Yeah.
You're also billed on the Bourbon and Beyond Festival. It's its first year in Kentucky. It also seems like that's maybe like your dream lineup of other artists to see. Do you stick around? Does every festival have its own feeling, or do you kind of, it's just like a different concert in a different way?
Every festival definitely has its own feeling, and I love festivals when I'm going on the road, because it's just kind of like, mostly I like it because they're outside.
Right.
So usually we're playing in clubs, so it's nice to just kind of like get some air and
Right.
be outside. And I think the energy with other artists there, and seeing other artists' shows and getting inspired by their shows, is also a really nice
Right.
thing that happens. It's like I don't even have to go out to a show. It's like I'm there already, and I
Right.
can see 5 people play at the same time. It's awesome.
So you stick around and you kind of like
Yeah.
wander the grounds.
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you have like a home festival? You've played Bonnaroo, you've played South by Southwest, you've played Coachella. Like, where is sort of like, where do you fit in the festival circuit? What's your favorite?
They're all different. They're all very different. I love going to all of them. I will say that I love the festivals that are the most about the music. You know, that I think you go to like Bonnaroo, and it's like people are walking around and they're like sweaty and they're smelly and they like don't care what they look like, and they just want to go rock out. Like, I think it's a great feeling, and it's exciting to see that as an artist, to know that people love music that
Right.
much. Yeah.
That's awesome. Right now, obviously, the storm is yours. It's a private thing. Everybody hasn't heard all of it. When it gets out into the world, what do you kind of hope people hear, and what is it, like hope for their listening experience?
Well, I think for me, the experience of making this record has been accepting who I am and just being okay with that. You know, there's ways like that I don't feel like I've necessarily fit in with certain genres of music.
Right.
And I don't want to follow trends. I just want to be who I am, and make music that matters to me. So I hope that it encourages people to really just like be in the moment, and really, I hope that they like the record, and then it's a part of their life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it for me. We're going to take a few questions from the audience now.
Hi, I was wondering how important it is, like the order that the songs appear on the album, if there's a process to that.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually a very fun process for me that I just did with this album, where if I'm like working on one song at a time, I'm really focusing on that, whatever that dynamic is, whether it's acoustic guitar and it's stripped back, it's an intimate moment. I'm like fully focused on that song, or another song that's making you feel more angry, more empowered. So getting really into those moments, and then doing the track listing is a really fun thing, because I get to see how it all kind of ties together and take people on a journey. And I really like that process, and I do feel like it's about the album for me, not just the songs. And I think that this album is one that people will sit down and want to listen to the whole thing. So,
Is there any relation between like a track list and a set list, like for a concert? Like, do you think about order in the same way, the same journey?
no, you know what's really funny? When I'm doing like an order for like a live show, it just depends where I'm playing.
Okay.
It's a little bit different, because some places, like if I know they're gonna they really, 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 really want to show and they're gonna get crazy, then I'm gonna hit a different like kind of intensity
Right.
or dynamic than I would normally. Like if we're just sitting down playing more intimate,
Right.
then it's, yeah. So it just depends on the venue, but it's definitely different than a track
That's
listing.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Hi. So I was just wondering, like, what was the biggest piece of advice that you received when you started out as an artist? And I'm just curious about, like, how did you come up with the stage name? I thought the stage name's pretty cool.
Thank you. Okay, so the first question, the best advice I ever received would be to believe in yourself before other people will. That's really important, I think, if you want to be an artist or in anything that you do. It's like just really knowing that it comes from here first and that other people will feel that. And the answer to your second question is my first name is Zsuzsanna, which is Hungarian. It's spelled Zsuzsanna. So, of course, no one could say it when I was growing up. So they started calling me ZZ, and my last name is Ward. So that's just my name on and off stage. Yeah.
And we have time for one more.
Hey Zizi, thank you for being here. Do you have any plans to celebrate the album's release?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'm so busy working that, yeah, I mean, I guess I would say for me right now, the tour is kind of the way that I'm kind of celebrating that. I think the tour that starts May 31st, I really wanted to play very small, intimate venues because I want to kind of bring my fans back into my music in a very almost like living room setting and really just kind of, that's been my first plan to celebrate, yeah.
That's awesome. Zizi, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Guys, The Storm is out June 30th. It is currently available for pre-order, and tour kicks off May 31st.